It is Sunday evening, and this is one of my favorite times of the whole week. This is usually the time in the week when my husband will take our kids and they leave the house, they go play soccer, and the house is quiet, and I am able to spend some real time prepping for my week. So I thought this week I would bring you guys along with me and show you kind of what I do to set our family up for success for the whole rest of the week. So the first thing that I always like to do is make sure that I'm starting with a clean slate. So I have most of our dishes done. I just have one or two things in here that I need to rinse out and stick in the dishwasher. And I am going to wash down all of the countertops. And that is just going to ensure that everything else that I need to do, I don't have to stop and like clean a little bit here and clean a little bit there. I will have all of the dishes that I need. And that is going to make the process just run a lot smoother. Okay, so now that everything is kind of cleaned up, the next thing I always do is get started on a batch of bread. So I like to make sure that I have breakfast and lunches prepped for the whole week on Sunday evening for my husband so that he can get up and just reheat a breakfast sandwich and grab a lunch out of the refrigerator. So I am going to make some sandwich rolls, hamburger buns for him to have for his breakfast and lunch. So I'm going to get started on that next. Okay, you guys have seen me make bread like a billion times, so I did not go ahead and add that. If you guys are interested in how I bake my bread, I will leave a link down below for you. But I bake bread just about every single day. I use a lot of this. I use the same recipe a lot of different ways. Today I'm using it to make some sandwich rolls, but I have my bread dough done, so it just needs to rise. So I'm actually just gonna leave it right here on the counter, and I am going to let it rise. So while that is rising, I am going to get started on my meal plan and our homeschool plan for the week. Okay, so I have my planner out. I use a simple plan. I have the undated one. If you guys would like a full review of this planner, I would love to do one for you. Just let me know. They are a homeschool planner, but I will say even if you don't homeschool, this is so useful the way this planner is set up. I'm sure because it is supposed to be a homeschool planner, that's why it's set up in such a different way. But I just love the outline, the setup of this specific planner. So that's what I use. And I have all of our homeschool stuff in here, but I have a basic rough outline of what I want our meal plan to be for the whole month. This is what I do like our monthly grocery shop for, basically. But it always changes. So I do have to kind of be flexible. There are some days that maybe we just really don't feel like having that specific thing, or like this week, my sister is making gyros and I am making the flatbread part of that, and she's making the tzatziki and the meat for it. And that is something that was not in my meal plan. I will say, if you have, this is such a great tip, I guess, if you have anybody in your life that you can share meals with like that, my goodness, it just saves so much money in the long run for both of you. It is so much cheaper to make a lot of one thing usually than it is to make two completely separate meals. So we're gonna have gyros, we're gonna do roast and potatoes. I am gonna do a roast chicken and mac and cheese this week as well, and probably some beef sandwiches. Actually, I think I'm gonna make some meatball subs. We were supposed to have that last week and we didn't. And it just sounds so delicious. And I know that I have stuff to make meatballs already because I didn't use it last week. And that just means it's stuff that I don't have to go out and buy. Yeah, that is our dinner meal plan for the week, and there's nothing that I have to buy for any of those. So I didn't add anything to this that I was gonna have to add to a grocery list, which is really nice. For lunches, we've just been kind of doing like a snacky lunch because we've been waking up a little bit later because it's so cold outside and so kind of dreary outside, I guess. It's such a sad time of the year. One thing that I will do this week is hard-boiled eggs. We have a lot of eggs. I know that a lot of people are having a hard time getting eggs, but our chickens are laying really well. So, and I have a bunch of eggs that I have water glassed from this past summer. So I am going to do hard-boiled eggs for lunches to go with smoothies and with popcorn so that we have some protein in the middle of the day as well. So that is one thing that on Sunday evening I can go ahead and prep for. Let's see, we have bagels, oatmeal, muffins, some pumpkin bread, and some cinnamon rolls for breakfast this week. That's what I have on my menu, and I know I already have all of the stuff for that. We also have yogurt and some extra berries right now. The next thing that I'm gonna do so that I make sure and actually follow through on this meal plan is anything that needs to be taken out of the freezer to make sure that it is thawed and readily available. I am going to do that right now. So I am going to go through and get any of the meat that I need, and I have a specific spot in my refrigerator that I put all of the meat. That really ends up saving me a lot is to make sure that I have all of that finished. So the only other thing I need to do for my meal plan for this week is to grab all of the stuff out of the freezer. Okay, so I have some beef for some meatballs that I have pulled out. I have a whole chicken that I will roast, and then I'll use this to make chicken stock. And then we're doing some chicken pasta that I will use the stock and the boneless, skinless chicken breast for. And then the day that I do roast and potatoes, I will pull a jar of roast that I had canned out. So this is all the meat that we will need for the week. Okay, so we have these drawer refrigerators in our island, and I really, really love them. They are great to have like snacks in the top one, snacks and some of our drinks, that sort of thing in the top one. And then anything that I am thawing out, I like to put in the bottom one. Okay, so now that I have all of our meat put away, I am going to get started on making some hard-boiled eggs. If you have never made hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot, you are missing out. It is the easiest way to make hard-boiled eggs, and it is bar none the best hard-boiled eggs. They are super easy to peel. So I picked these up on Amazon. It is just a little stand that goes like this in your Instant Pot. So it's 2 tiers. You'll put a cup of water on the bottom of your Instant Pot and then stack your eggs on these inside of your Instant Pot, and then you're going to turn it on high pressure for 5 minutes. So it's going to come up to pressure. It is going to be pressurized for 5 minutes, and then you will let it go ahead and natural release. So I am going to get our eggs in our Instant Pot to get them hard boiled. Okay, so my bread is rising, my meat is done. I have eggs in the Instant Pot, and now it is time to turn from the food that we're gonna eat to the stuff that my kids are gonna learn. So now is the time that I will open up the next part of my planner, which is our homeschool part of the planner. And I have all of, these are not all of our books, but I have a lot of books that we are working with right now. And I will go through and write down what each of my kids is doing each day of the week. If you guys are interested in what curriculum we are using or how we set up our homeschool day, I would happily share that with you guys. We have been homeschooling now for about a decade, I guess. 11 years, I think, is how long we've actually been doing it. And so it's definitely something that I love. It is my favorite part of being a mom. And so it is something that I love to spend time kind of prepping for. Okay, so my bread dough has doubled in size, so it is finished rising, and my hard-boiled eggs are finished. I have taken the top off of the Instant Pot so that they can cool. So I am going to let those cool and go ahead and form my hamburger buns, sandwich rolls, whatever you want to call them. I just am taking my bread dough and I'm going to split this up into 16 equal portions. Okay, so now that I have them split up into 16 equal portions, I am just going to kind of roll them into a ball, sticking them through my thumb and my middle finger just like that, closing it off at the bottom, and then I just like to kind of seal it, flatten it out just a little bit, and stick it on my pan. So I'm just going to fill up my 2 sheet trays with my 16 sandwich rolls and set these aside to rise. I pulled my hard-boiled eggs out of my Instant Pot, and I am just going to peel them and stick them in a Ziploc bag. So these will stay good for about a week in my refrigerator. They definitely won't last that long. This is actually one of our toddler's very favorite foods, so she asks for white eggies on a daily basis. So these will not last quite that long. So once I got them out of the Instant Pot, I stuck them in some cold ice water just to kind of cool down, make them, you know, able to be handled. Otherwise they're really hot. So I am just going to crack them, peel them, and get them in a Ziploc bag into the refrigerator. In the meantime, I have my oven preheated to 350, and I have my sandwich rolls set aside rising. So once my oven is completely preheated, it will be time to put the sandwich rolls in. I have our sandwich rolls all finished. I decided to get a little bit fancy and just cut some X's in these. So I'm gonna let these completely cool down. That is not gonna take very long. And then once these cool down, we will be able to slice them in half and start making breakfast and lunch for my husband for the week. So while I'm waiting on my sandwich rolls to completely cool, I am going to get started on breakfast for the rest of my family. So I am going to get started on some bagels. So I'm gonna show you how far I take the bagels if I'm going to make them the night before. So the first thing I want to do is get my bagel dough going. So I am going to start out with 1.5 cups of water, just the hottest that I can get from my tap. And then to that, I am going to add a full tablespoon of salt. I'm using like a flaky kosher salt. And then 3 tablespoons of sugar. The sugar looks brown, but it's not brown sugar, it is pure cane sugar. I love to get this sugar. It just has a better flavor to it. It's lower on the glycemic index than plain white sugar is, and it just tastes better. And then from that, I'm going to just stir that up. So I have mixed my salt and my sugar in with my water. I'm going to stir that up and make sure that that salt and sugar dissolves. Then I'm going to set that aside. And in the bowl of my stand mixer, I am going to put 4 cups of just all-purpose flour. I don't always make like a make-ahead breakfast like this. I don't always make bagels or cinnamon rolls, something like that for breakfast, but I do try to do it at least a couple of times a week. And usually Monday mornings, I'm going to add a tablespoon of yeast to this. This is just instant yeast. I do like to do it, especially on Monday mornings. I like to just kind of start our week with a really, really good breakfast, something yummy and filling, something that I can pull out of the oven and we can eat warm, especially this time of the year. I just find that gives us a really good start to our week. So I am going to pour my salty sugar water into my dry ingredients, throw my dough hook attachment on. I'm going to turn this on and I am going to let it knead for about 8 minutes. Okay, so our bagel dough is completely kneaded. You'll notice that this dough is pretty stiff. It has completely cleaned out the bowl, so there's like no little dough bits. And for bagel dough, that's what you want. So I have this massive dough, and I'm gonna turn this into 6 bagels. So I'm just gonna split this into 6 fairly even sections. I have all of my bagels formed. They're not the prettiest bagels this time. I was just trying to get it done pretty quick, but they are completely formed. And this is the point when I am going to cover them and put them in my refrigerator overnight. So if I wanted to go ahead and make these bagels tonight, I could do that. But we like them best just hot right out of the oven, where that cream cheese is gonna kind of melt into it. And so because of that, it doesn't take a super long time to actually make them in the morning. I have found that this is the perfect spot for us to cover them and set them aside. So in the morning, whenever I get up, I will pull these out of the refrigerator. Before I even get dressed or anything in the morning, I will come in here, pull them out of the refrigerator, and let them kind of come to room temperature. And then I will boil them for 2 minutes on each side, and then stick them in a very hot 450-degree oven just until they are nice and golden brown for about 8 minutes. So the last thing that I am actually going to cook today is I am going to make some scrambled eggs. So I am just doing 10 eggs. My husband really likes to have 2 per sandwich. So I am just going to scramble up 10 eggs so that for the next 5 days he has a breakfast sandwich every morning for breakfast. So in the time that I did my bagels and made the scrambled eggs, I cannot think, my bun things, my sandwich rolls are cool enough for me to slice. So I am going to slice all of these, and then I'm going to start an assembly line making all of the sandwiches for the week. So I have found that this is the easiest way for me to do this, is to just set it up as a assembly line. So I have 5 pieces of plastic wrap, and then each plastic wrap piece is going to get a bun, and then each bun will get egg, and then some ham, and then a slice of cheese. So then that's it. I have 5 breakfast sandwiches all ready to go for my husband's breakfast for this week, and all he has to do is pull them out, take them out of the plastic, and microwave them for about 30 seconds. And he will have a hot breakfast every single day this week before work. So now that the breakfasts are done, all I have to do is basically the same thing, which just takes me a couple of minutes, and I will have all of the lunch sandwiches finished too. Okay, so I have all of the sandwiches done. So the breakfast sandwiches, I will put all in one Ziploc bag. The lunches, however, I am going to pack a little bit differently. All right, I am down to my very last thing. So every day I will grab a Ziploc bag. We try to reuse these whenever possible. But I'm going to put a sandwich, just some fruit. This week we have a bunch of apples, so we're going to do apples. And then I like to do some kind of a little treat in here. So I'm going to throw 3 or 4 Oreos in that bag as well. And just like that, lunch is done every day for my husband. These will go in the refrigerator, and every morning he will grab one of these, put it in his insulated lunch tote, and that's it. He will have lunch ready for the day. So he doesn't mind having the same thing every day for lunch. It's not my favorite, but he is totally happy with that as long as he has something to put in his tummy in the day. That is really all that he cares about. So it does make it a little easier for me, but it is definitely a way that I can just spend a little bit of time on a Sunday evening just prepping for the week, and it makes his week smoother, and it definitely makes my week easier as I go along. So that is it. So from there, all I'm going to do is finish wrapping all of these up, get them in the refrigerator, and then I will do a quick cleanup and we will have dinner. And then tomorrow morning I will get up and make breakfast, but everything is prepped for the week. It is definitely going to make our week go smoother, and it is something that I have found that if I don't do, I really miss it. So, but I will see you guys next time, and thank you so much for watching.